Today we are going to teach you how to do a back handspring and progress into a back tuck. First, stack a cheese mat onto the resi mat and have the beginner use their legs by bending them in a sitting position and then pushing off while swinging their arms and jumping to their back. They should be in a tight body position with straight legs that are together and pointed toes. Their arms should be straight and by their ears.
The next drill the beginner is going to do is stand in front of the octagon-shaped mat. They're going to start with their arms to their ears and keep them there through the whole skill. Then they need to push off the ground for their takeoff and slowly go through the bridge walkover position and snap down to their feet. This helps them use their legs going backwards and how the rotation of the back handspring should feel like when they start doing it in the intermediate stage.
Now to the intermediate stage. The individual is going to stand on a cheese mat going downhill. We use a cheese mat because it helps the person to get more momentum going downhill, and it gives the person more time to get their hands down for the back handspring. And it's a softer landing if they land on their head or knees. When doing this drill, the intermediate should have a spot so they don't get hurt. They should start with their arms up, then swing them downward, then back upward during the rotation. When jumping backward, they should look like they are about to sit down in a chair. They need to bend their legs and push backwards, then push the hips upward. They need to bend their legs in a backward position so they can go outward instead of upward, like a back tuck. When going for the back handspring, they need to keep their arms straight and open and look at their hands the whole time so they don't go outward. If they bend their arms, they will collapse on them and they can land on their head. Once they have completed the rotation, they need to focus on the landing. They need to slightly bend their knees and stick their butt out so their legs can get most of the pressure so they don't hyperextend their knees. When the individual feels comfortable enough, let them try a few on their own with the correct body positions and landings.
After doing the back handspring, they can move onto the floor with a spot. They need to keep the same body shape and technique like they did on the cheese mat. Once they are comfortable in landing the skill, they can try it by themselves. Now we know how to do a back handspring, and we can move on to learning a back tuck. Today we are going to teach you how to do a back tuck.
When doing the straight jump backwards, the beginner should swing their arms up to horizontal for now because we are working on good body shapes and technique.
Then we move on to the next drill where the individual lays on their back in a hollow position with their legs together. And they go up into almost a candlestick. Once rolled onto the shoulders, pull arms downward and bend legs at 90-degree angles. This teaches them to keep their hips under and getting used to the movement of the rotation that is going to happen later.
After this drill, the beginner should stand a few inches in front of the whale mat and use the same takeoff and jump to their back in a tight candlestick position.
When they jump to their back, they need to swing their arms and they keep them by their ears.
While in this position, they need to keep their head in, straighten their legs, and tighten their stomach muscles for good technique and clean body shape.
After many jump to the candlestick with straight legs, we move on to jumping to a tight candlestick with slightly bent legs in a tuck position, but not too close to the face. You want to keep that
hollowed body position.
The beginner has learned and practiced the right techniques and body positions. We can bring the intermediate stage. Grab an 8-incher mat and then stack a few mats in front of it. The individual is going to stand on a block and their back facing the 8-incher so they can land on it. Because the intermediate won't be comfortable throwing a back tuck by themselves, you should provide a spot until you think they are ready to go by themselves. The intermediate stands and looks straight ahead on their takeoff. They swing their arms, jump, and then lifting their hips, shins, and feet to get the full rotation off the back tuck. They also need to keep their head in so they can go up instead of outward. We make them jump off a higher surface so they can get enough height and get enough full rotation of the skill. We use an 8-incher for landing so the landing will be softer for them. Once you and the individual feel comfortable, let them try a few on their own with the right body positions and landing. When they are ready for more difficulty, take some of the mats away so it lowers, and then they can start doing their back tuck on the floor level.
Now it is time to do the back tuck on the floor. When doing it on the floor, the same body position applies that they've been working on. But since it is on the floor now, they should have a spot so they feel more comfortable going without standing on a block and landing on a harder surface. When they start doing the back tuck by themselves, they need to swing the arms, and their takeoff needs to be powerful. The use of the legs is the most important thing for this skill. They need to jump higher so that they can lift their hips over and get the full rotation in the middle of the back tuck. Their head should still be in, arms by their ears, and a tight core. When landing this skill on a hard surface, the person wants to look for the floor. Once the person lands on their feet, they need to bend their legs so there won't be any hyperextension of the knees. To stick the landing, their bottom should be sort of out, and they should be squeezing their core and legs together so their legs get most of the pressure from the landing. The person needs to keep their chest up while bending their legs for the landing. Once you've perfected the back tuck, you can turn it into a back pike and straighten your legs.